Hello and welcome back to the Most Dangerous Podcast. I'm James. I'm here with my good friend Fraser at the podcast that investigates weird and strange stories through history and time. It's that time again where we are doing the draw this week. That's where we pick our subject for the next few episodes, season, if whatever you want to say. But first of all, Fraser, I'm going to hand over to you because you've got some news, I believe.
Yes. So anyone that's watching our video podcast will already see we have a very special guest with us tonight. We've got Ricky from Lads Anonymous. How are you, Ricky?
I'm all good, lads. I'm all good. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
It's good to see you. Good. Thanks for coming on.
So Ricky, I was going to tell people what Lads Anonymous is about, and I thought it's probably better if you just give us a little idea of what your podcast's about. So it's right.
Yeah,
and accurate.
absolutely, mate. I've got no idea what it's. No, I'm only joking. When I like a bit of a backstory to it. So, well, a bit of a backstory to myself. I've been doing another podcast, a football one on Tottenham with my best mate and another group of mates as well, really close mates, and it's called The Fighting Cock. And I've been doing that for 13 or 14 years. Can't quite remember. So
Wow.
It's been going a long time. And throughout that, people have always said, "Oh, you should do your own podcast. You should do something away from Tottenham and football." And I was just like, I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing, just turning up and doing the podcast each week. And then it got to a point where a few more people were saying it, and I was just like scratching my chin. What do I do? I don't really want to produce content for the sake of producing content and just adding it to the churn. It has to be something maybe a little bit different or something like that. So I kind of had this idea that I was kicking around, and with The Fighting Cock, there is a Patreon. So if you're listening and you don't know what a Patreon is, it's just content behind a paywall. So I was on there and I was talking about an experience I had, and what was it again? I was volunteering for a homeless charity in Milton Keynes, and I was just saying about my experience because I'd never spoken to anyone about it because I didn't really want anyone. Not that I didn't want anyone finding out, but it's just I didn't do it for the gram or whatever.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I thought, you know what? One day, like Flav said, do you want to come and speak about it? So I said, yeah, sure. So I did. And I got a lot of kind of positive feedback, as you would. And it kind of made me think about not doing a podcast on that, but it just made me feel that there was a space for a bit of positivity, being a bit authentic, and, just a bit about myself and values that I don't know. I didn't really know what I had, but there was something there. And then I did another podcast on the Patreon whereby I was talking. It got pretty deep, really, and it was about counselling and about growing up as a person of colour in England and my experience with that. And I had a lot of people reach out to me who was just saying that it was a really good podcast for them because they found it really resonated with them. Someone that was saying stuff that they had felt and gone through, and it wasn't particularly just people of colour that had gone through it. It was whether they had been ostracised from society because of how they look, anything like that,
Yeah.
So, and again, then I just felt like it felt like I was getting stuff off my chest. Do you know what I mean? By doing those pods.
That's what it feels like when you listen to it. It does really feel like a safe space where it's you sat with your mates and you're just having a kind of chat and anything's out on the table, and it just really feels like you're with friends. It is a great pod. It's a great listen.
Yeah, so that's where it came from. So then the kind of synopsis was it's lads like Flav and I, and the anonymous part was people can email in with sharing their stories, their topics, or what they want us to talk about. And we're quite happy to be, the focal point and be open, honest, authentic, and just say how we feel as, I mean, let's be honest, like lost 40-year-old men, because
Yeah.
we're in a world where I'm quite frightened to say things where I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't know the correct way to speak about, certain sections of society, all these different things.
Yeah.
And it's not because, partly it's being ignorant, but it's not coming from a hurtful or hateful place. So it's just, to create this safe space where anyone can come and chat about different things, really.
Yeah. It's,
We're definitely from like this weird generation that people older than us were a lot more brutal and just said things and didn't really care about feelings in the same way that, and then we're kind of in the middle and not quite young enough to be in this modern world where people all understand what you can and can't say. It's like we're this sort of in the middle, that we're not quite part of the woke world that is now, and we're not quite like our parents were, where kind of anything went. And
it's a bit
strange,
a bit further than that as well for me. I mean, it's one of the reasons we started this podcast. Why me and Fraser started this podcast is because, like you say, 40-year-old blokes used to be 20 odd years ago. You go down every night, you could go out with your mate, or you go to the pub or whatever. You'd have a big group of friends, and as you get older and you start relationships and you have children, that group of friends, everyone sort of goes off in their own direction. And there's no one left really, and you find, well, I can't go out with him because he's got a kid now, and he's with his wife, and what I mean. And I was finding myself where I didn't really have anyone to talk to. Said to Fraser, like, why don't we treat it like a night down the pub like we used to every Friday night or whatever night? We'll get together, we'll have a chat, we'll sit together and just have a conversation like we used to back in the day.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. People, particularly middle-aged blokes like us, as much as we hate to say it, we are becoming more isolated. I think there's not we don't have that connection that perhaps we did 10, 20 years ago or so.
You texted me and said, "Are we still friends?"
Yeah,
it was like a couple of years ago. I got a message off him.
About 4:30 in the morning, was it?
Yeah, but the thing that attracted me to you and Flav is like, you're two 42, 43-year-old guys, exactly the same as us, best friends for years, and we were kind of like that. But years, I think like a year went by and we didn't even share a text message. And I got this message off James going, "Are we still friends?" I'm like, "Well, yeah," but there's no space in my there's no space in my life. I think I'm sure he said, you sent me that, and then about 10 minutes later, you sent me this long message going, "We're just that age where we just see each other once or twice a year and have a proper blowout, and then get back on with real life." And when James, he sent me a message saying, "Do you want to start a podcast?" I sent him one back saying, "Funnily enough, I bought a podcast mic this week because I thought I'm going to start a podcast." And,
no way.
Yeah, and I was going to start a religion, and James said, "Don't do that. Let's just have a chat about something."
No.
I think as well, like working from home, it's kind of like really isolated a lot of people. And although I really enjoy and love working from home, it's that the kind of social aspect of whether you were social with your colleagues, or if you went to work or you worked in a city and then you'd meet your mates after, as you're on your way home from work, you'd stop in for a pint at the local or anything like that. And all of that just seems to have gone. And with, like you're saying, with my other mates as well, that we've all got families. We're, all working. Some of us are, working abroad, or some of us are working out of our city into another city. We're all in different places. So it literally takes like 3 months for us to kind of line up a date and be like, right, let's all have a beer here. And by the time you're having a beer with your mates, you're just reminiscing about the past and the stupid things you did and girls you chatted to and all that. Like, by the time you kind of come back, you don't really have that open and honest. It's not really the place to be like,
no, exactly.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I think my marriage is falling apart. Or do you know what? My daughter is really kind of struggling at school and I don't really know what to do. And any of those things, do you know what I mean? So that's how Lads kind of has come about as well.
Yeah.
Do you not think from a relationship, it's your partner, isn't it? You're not It's not your wife.
No. I
try to remember.
that's very your memory so
She's
far.
been your
very
partner
good,
for
yeah.
20 odd years.
25
right?
years, yeah, 25
Wow.
years. I've been engaged for 14 years, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that. 13 or 14 years, yeah. So what I just want to explain. So got engaged, and as you do, you're young and you're excited that you're going to get married. So excitable that within a couple of months, my missus turned pregnant, and it was like, right, okay. So the wedding got put onto the back burner. A couple of years, right? Let's start planning again. Got to
Second one comes along.
yeah, rolled up in the moment again. Second one comes along. It's like, maybe we should stop planning weddings.
Yeah, every time you plan a wedding, you have a baby.
Exactly. So put a pin in that one.
Yeah, I'm not married either. I've been with my partner for 16 years. Two
Oh,
kids,
wow.
2 kids as well. But no, we know. I think our view is that if we're going to spend that much on getting married, we might as well spend it on going to Disneyland with the kids.
100%. That's exactly what we're saying. Exactly what we say. Yeah, totally agree.
My friend Tyler, that's joined us on the podcast before, I remember there was a point where they'd worked out their wedding was going to cost them 70 grand.
70?
And I said, do you realise? Yeah. And I said, do you realise if you spend that for the rest of your life, it will be referred to as that fucking wedding? Because it'll be, we could put an extension on the house, but no, we're still paying off for that fucking wedding. We could go on holiday. No, we're still paying for that fucking wedding.
It's not worth it.
So don't do it. And they actually went with a couple of people to Greece and got married.
There you go.
And just
Sweet. So they didn't do the
Lovely
70k wedding.
Didn't do it. No,
good.
no.
Good.
The reason I was mentioning your partner though is, do you not find that when you actually you can get to a point where you isolate yourself so much that it's even difficult with your partner, because you like when you go out to work or you go and do something, you come back, or say you're in your office doing your podcast, you then got something to talk about.
Yeah.
But there's people, I think couples that work from home so much that there isn't that, how was your day? Because you know how their day was because they've been sitting in the fucking house the other side.
Yeah.
I think people need to get out, and not necessarily get out, but doing the podcast, for me, it's like I look forward to this reset every week where I get to talk to James, we do our podcast, and I'm like, that's better.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit of what's pissed you off during the week off your chest.
Yeah, and it's not even, the stuff doesn't even go in the pod. We literally talk for 25 minutes before the pod even starts, just so we can have a chat about what's happened in the week and stuff.
That should be a separate little pod we put on Patreon. The bit where we talk about stuff.
Record that. For sure. Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah. Don't know about that. Some private stuff in there.
So that has covered my first 3 questions without asking any of them. So,
oh really?
We just wanted to know how you got into it.
Okay, sweet.
You mentioned the fight.
Well, I didn't.
Sorry, Fraser.
Sorry, go on.
Okay.
I was going to say, I didn't ask what did you do before podcasting? What was your?
So,
if you don't have to tell us.
No, of course. So
where it came from.
My experience and my background, probably for the past maybe 13, 14 years, social media management. Right. So I worked for there's a hospital in London, Moorfields Eye Hospital. So I worked in their press and PR department, and then I worked for Network Rail for 10 years in communications, first of all, and then for 6 years, social media. And then the last 2 years as well was more paid social. Right. So it's been a lot of social media management, and it's because it's for Network Rail. It's like one of, if not the biggest infrastructure company in Britain.
So just a lot of apologising.
Oh, exactly, mate. You know the score. So yeah, it's not only is it the content that's going out on the channels, but it's the community management, shall we say, of how people are replying and why a railway worker has taken a shit in their front garden at 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's just managing that type of stuff on social media, which is great. But yeah,
that's why their socials are better than ours.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's the experience there. Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the fighting cock, and that's a big one, isn't it? A big podcast for Spurs.
Yeah.
And you may have noticed over the episodes that you've listened to that I'm a fan of a certain football club as well, and we play each other on Sunday.
We do indeed.
And I was just asking if you think Spurs are going to do us a little favour there to annoy those bastards down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just
Spurs
bend
have
over.
been doing a lot of teams favours recently.
Bend over, think of England, all that. Yeah.
Good lad, good lad.
I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, they're infuriating, those Arsenal fans, aren't they? Probably lost about 10 listeners there, or maybe more. But God, they're annoying.
Yeah, they are.
We don't want them.
Sorry, just before I go, as we're talking about the Fighting Cock, so we started that 13 or 14 years ago. I forget now. But again, that was because Flav, we used to listen to another Tottenham podcast, shall we say, and we kind of just grew, more so Flav, just a bit annoyed with it because they would do funny impersonations of voices of like Harry Redknapp and all these other bits and pieces, and we're like, oh, this is trash. Why don't we do our own thing? And Flav was like, we'll just record our own podcast. Do you know anything about audio or podcasts? I was like, what's a podcast? This is like 13, 14 years ago. I was like, doesn't matter. Best mates will do it anyway. And then we kind of got a band of merry men together, and we just started recording it. And we had a, what was it called now? Tascam. I think that was the model of it, but it was basically a big dictaphone with a large memory card in it.
Okay.
With a tiny mic on it. And we would go into a local boozer in North London. That's where we were living at the time. And we would record the podcast. And these are our first few. But as we were recording the podcast and listening back, we hadn't realised that they were playing audio in the background. So it was like, you're in a pub, there's going to be music. So every time we were trying to cut it, the music in the background wasn't matching with what we were saying. We're like, fuck. So don't do it in a pub, number one. The squeaking of a toilet door when you're sitting next to the toilets, doesn't really work for a podcast either. So then we started recording it in my flat, which was great. A couple of times my mum rang me mid-podcast, which was great. And then at the time, Flav's ex-missus had a vintage clothes store in Crouch End where we were. And at 5 o'clock at night, we'd go to the off-licence, load up on beers, go into the vintage clothes shop, pull the shutters down, and there was a table in the middle. We'd put the mic there, and there'd just be like 3 or 4 or 5 lads just getting absolutely belted and
sounds like the Sopranos, sat around the table.
It was like that, and that's how we recorded. Like it was like screaming into the void. Really, we didn't care who listened. We had no idea about where to put it, chart numbers, anything like that. It was just like, this is fun. We love talking about Tottenham. Let's just put it out. And then from then on, it's just snowballed and just become, fairly big. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a recognizable. I mean, I as you know, I don't listen to it because I don't follow Spurs.
Sure.
Actually, but I've heard of it because it's a big one there. Yeah.
I was just going to ask that. Could a non-Spurs fan enjoy it? Because I listen to a podcast run by 2 Celtic fans.
Yeah.
But they touch on a lot of other Scottish football and other funny stories and stuff like that. And, it's like the Fighting Cock. Is there enough in it that a non-Spurs fan could actually say, this is quite an enjoyable listen?
Absolutely. There are loads of fans that listen that aren't Tottenham fans. And they listen, for the kind of banter and toilet humour. So if that's your thing, come on down. There'll be like 15 minutes of football chat, and the 45 minutes will be toilet humour. So
maybe we'll give it a go. Yeah,
give that a listen. Yeah.
So back to Lads Anonymous then, I suppose.
Yeah.
The way that the structure of the episodes, usually you'll have a topic that you'll talk about for the majority of the episode.
You're too kind to say the majority of the episode. It's normally us two talking absolute shite, and then there's like 15, 20 minutes of it in there.
Yeah. And then you'll have someone sort of come in, and you'll have a separate bit where I believe that someone will send you a sort of query or a question or a topic that they want you to sort of discuss. And I've listened to a number of them. Some of them are sort of based on mental health and things like that. And do you think, is there a topic that you've discussed on the pod that you thought people would never actually open up to, but actually it caused a bit of a wave and people came in and is there anything like that that's kind of shocked you about the impact that it's had?
Yeah, so I mean, there's many different ways. I mean, it's one you'd expect. Obviously, we did one on mental health, and Flav and I spoke about our experiences, and then we had, a fair few emails and DMs on social and stuff like that of people sharing their experiences, which is really nice to kind of see that it resonated with people. But you kind of know, not that I knew that was going to happen, but if you put something up about mental health, that naturally it's going to attract people talking about it. The thing that I was really unexpected with the response, we did a podcast called Happiness or something like that. And it was me. I'd listened to a podcast about from Mel Robbins. Now, if you don't know who Mel Robbins is, she's an American, and she talks a lot about anxiety, mental health, kind of positive mindset, really, and just how to change your life. And as I say that, and yes, she is American, and that changing your mindset, there is that. As British people, we will listen to it and we'll be like, I don't know if this is for me, mate. If you just ride out the first 5 minutes, right, trust me, then you'll kind of see behind the, high-fiving yourself in the mirror. That is actually one of the things she tells you to do. And after that, I was like, no, not going to listen, but I persevered. But anyway, she listed things, just to write down what makes you happy. Yeah. So I did this happiness list of a list of things that make me happy and a list of things that don't make me happy. And it was kind of like, what a brainwave, Rick. Nice one. But after I'd done that, and it was out of my head onto this bit of paper, and it was really just kind of like basic stuff as to say, I don't like doing these things, but maybe I have to do them because everyone's got to eat shit sandwich. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to do it. But the things I've written down that are attainable, that I can do more regularly, to focus on doing that more and more often. And as I was explaining this in the pod, and Flav was talking about how his happiness is affected and what makes him happy, it really sparked a lot for people to write in and tell us what makes them feel happy, and them to share their happiness list. And to be quite honest, the emails, the volume and DMs and feedback, I wasn't expecting it, because it was a real kind of like, there were people that are stuck in ruts that weren't happy, and that they listed out that they'd done this with their partner, and them and their partner had gone through their happiness list and said, look, we're doing all this stuff that doesn't make us happy. Why didn't we focus on this? And I was like, wow, that's absolutely quality. Like that. I just wasn't expecting it. Do you know what I mean?
For people to actually send in their private lists as well. That's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
you've really made an impact there.
Exactly. It's like we bill it, as we spoke earlier, like a safe space, and people feel safe enough to share that with us, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think I do it myself. I think a lot of people do. It's easy. It's easy just to coast along and think this is all right. You know, I'm getting paid. I've got my wages coming in.
Yeah,
I've got a roof over my head. I've got food on the table.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah,
and then until you actually sit down and think about it, and think, actually, no, this isn't right. I can do. There's certain things I can change that can make this better.
Yeah, totally.
But we've had the conversation that we've got nice homes, we've got decent jobs, we've got kids and families and stuff like that. Why do I still not quite feel happy? And then you actually make yourself feel guilty for not feeling quite happy. because you say, well, I should be happy because I've got all this. And sometimes, like you said, it's to actually write down and say, this is what I want to do. This is what is not making me happy. And to actually look at it on a piece of paper and think about it. And also to understand that there's other people out there with those same sorts of feelings.
Yeah, 100%.
That you're not being selfish, feeling unhappy, even though you've got food on your table and stuff like that. And sometimes it's just restructuring and moving things about a little bit, doing things a bit different.
And that's what lads
massive difference.
That's what Lads Anonymous does for me, really. Like, it does make you think, yeah, there are other people out there that, you know, are in the same boat, who are thinking the same sort of things, who, you know, that's one of the special things about it in my eyes.
Yeah. It's also shown me there's a lot of people out there that are not like me. Some of the fucking things that people have done. Some of these stories, you go, shit, wow, I've lived such a sheltered fucking life compared to these people.
I mean, that's
people meeting people in hotels under towels and stuff like that. Stand behind the curtain.
That's one of my favourite parts of the episodes, actually. So you do
something only you know.
That's it. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
That's it. And I absolutely love that, because I think everybody's got at least one of those. I reckon.
Yeah.
You've got a story that nobody else knows about. Just to explain to the listeners or the viewers, it's a section where people email in, and they just basically tell you a very secret story. It's usually quite rude, about something they've done, and only they know that it's happened. And maybe there might have been another person involved, but they don't know. Usually, don't know who they are.
Yeah,
and it's absolutely fantastic. So what I'd like to ask, actually. Have you ever had a story come in for one of those where it's been like completely off limits, or you've thought, no, we can't read this out?
I'm not touching that.
So there's been a few where I have read them and I'm like, I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it feels so far fetched that I'm not entirely sure if it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read them out, I want to be able to be like, yeah, this actually did happen. It's plausible. Like, there's a certain amount of detail that you can read that you think, they fucking did that. That actually happened, man. Like, and you know that happened. But then some of them are a bit kind of sketchy, jump around. Where I'm like, do you know what? I'll park that one. I'll keep it, but I'll park it. So there's been a few of those, but there is one story that I haven't read out. Yeah. I need to send it to Flav, because I don't know if I'm going to read it out. And
I reckon he'll be fine with it. He seems to let more.
Oh, mate, yeah.
He doesn't really give a shit.
Yeah, he'll be like, fuck it. Yeah, send it out, mate. Send it out. But yeah, I've gone back and I've read the email maybe 5 or 6 times. That one is real. That one is real. And I'm like,
I'll look forward to hearing that.
Is it? Like, what I'll do is I'll let you guys know that when the big one drops.
Yeah.
I mean, are there things that come and you think, I don't think that's legal what they've done? And
I think,
I could not get them in trouble because it's anonymous, but I could be reading out a story here where someone's really broken the law, really done something bad.
So as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been anything that's like major breaking the law, as in, no, I can't quite, because normally, I mean, let's be honest, it's sexual escapades really that go wrong, or right, however you want to look at it, or somebody that is, drugs, drink, something that's happened to them. So it's one of those, but there hasn't really been anything that I have raised an eyebrow to, like, I don't know, consent or something like that. Because if it was, I'd be like, that's fucking, that's not cool, bruv. Like, I would go back and email them and say, like, what the fuck? Like, you're going to need to clarify on this one, because that's not cool.
Don't email us again.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been anything like that. And you can FOI, like anyone that if you want to send in a freedom of information.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah. Great. They'll be trawling up 800 emails. Oh, shit. They're going to find it.
I really, really enjoy that part of the episode. So, if you haven't listened to Lads Anonymous already, even if you just listen to that part, it's absolutely fantastic. It makes me laugh every single time.
A nice one.
It's I actually I started to listen to it because I think we'd made contact on Facebook. Just you'd liked a couple of my posts, and I embarrassed myself by saying if you would do an ad swap, and then realised you were probably a much bigger game than us. And then it was the night that I drove 2.5 hours to Doncaster. My wife realised she'd forgot the tickets for our cheerleading competition and had to do 2.5 hours from Doncaster. This was at 11 o'clock at night.
I remember. Yeah.
And back in. So I listened to 5 hours of Lads and On just to keep me going. And that's when I really got into it. But I think one of the really important things about your show is that it's such a funny show that it's a kind of anything goes and stuff like that. But there is a really sensitive side to it where you do actually put the message out. Look, there's people there for you. You can write to us, look after yourself. There's like a caring side to it that it's not just let's look at daft stories. It is, you are there for people.
Totally.
Not that, Flav says it himself. He says you can't just say to someone, just talk to someone if you've got problems. But there is an element of just knowing that there are people out there that will listen to you that makes a big difference.
Well, yeah. I mean, on that point then, so do you think that the stigma is changing slightly about male vulnerability? Do you think people are more open, or males, middle-aged blokes are more open these days to kind of seek help? And because I know there's a lot of it about, isn't there? You listen to other podcasts and they have sort of the better health is a big thing at the moment. There's a lot of that about, you can go online and get therapy and things. Yeah. So do you think it is changing slightly where men our age are kind of thinking, actually, I do need to speak to somebody?
I think it is slightly. I still think there is a stigma attached to it. I still feel, and maybe this is just on me really and how I feel, not as a general view. Like, men don't cry. If you express that you're sad or about something, that you're seen as weak or a beta male. There's lots of other things where you kind of like, it's I always remember it at my last job, and it was kind of like we want you to work from over your 9 to 5 basically, and at a drop of a hat, when I WhatsApp call you or drop you a message, you do the work or you answer the phone or anything like that. But mental health is important for you. We really care. And it's like, no, you fucking don't. No one does. Like, honestly, it's just this lip service, but they don't really care. And that's fine. They're a corporate company. They are there to get the best out of their employees through and get the best out of money. I get it. But that lip service is just ridiculous.
That's true. Tick the boxes.
Exactly. So I with Lads and Non, and I do see that there are other podcasts where it's more focused on mental health, and it's sit down and talk about anxiety, talk about stresses, talk about all these other things. And I never wanted Lads and Non to be like that. I wanted us to talk about that, but not say it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of like not this, let's all sit down and hold hands and talk about our feelings and did that hurt and stuff like that, because it just doesn't work for me and for men. Like, we just generally, and we're British, it's that gallows humor. We just take the piss out of each other and stuff like that. But then if you kind of just under the surface where you talk about, how's it going, mate? Yeah, fine. No, how's it going, mate? Oh, at work, man, this person's pissing me off. And that second question, and then you're in. And it's just to play it off like that. I didn't really want it to be about, just that whole unveiling of let's sit down and talk about our feelings. Because generally speaking, You don't want. I don't want to hear a podcast for an hour of people having a breakdown and how bad they're feeling, and just going straight into that. But what I would want to hear is people's relationship and their dynamic with each other and their dynamic with their partners and how it resonates with me and my mates. So
yeah, of course, it's certainly not how. To be absolutely clear for anyone who hasn't listened to it, it's not a sit down therapy session. It's certainly not. It's very different from that. There is just this undertone of, like Fraser said, a sort of warm cuddle, and it's just sat down with your mates and having a chat.
It's like you guys are having a conversation and we're a part of it.
Yes. Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Even though you're not saying anything, it's like you feel like you're a part of it.
Absolutely.
And it's almost what's made me feel so comfortable sitting talking to you just now. I feel like I've talked to you before.
One of the lads.
Because I've listened to it so much.
Both the lads. Come on.
But another thing that I think is really important is that we say you're not like a mental health podcast and you talk about it. It's almost listening to Lads Anonymous and you go, you occasionally hear stories that people are going through that you think, well, that's similar to some of the stuff I've gone through. And it makes you feel a little bit better knowing that it's not just you that feels like that. That you're not weird. You shouldn't be ashamed of how you feel because it's other people feel like that too.
Yeah, of course.
It makes you feel a bit warmer. You think, well, that's fine. I'm not the only one, and you can sort of get on with things a little bit better. But no, it's a good show. Anyway.
Yeah, it's fantastic. To go back to your actual the answer to your question.
Oh, right.
So in society, yes, I do think it's better. Yes, I do think more people are talking about it, but it kind of feels like it's becoming one of those box ticking things at people's company, really. Right. Have we got the rainbow corporate flag out? Yep. Tick that one. Have we got this, that, and the other? Have we got the, mental health? And it's the
helpline number in the welcome pack. Just phone that if you're having a problem.
Exactly.
One of them,
it's all those things, but it's not actually properly spoken about. And you are, which is nice that you are given routes to reach out to people, I guess. But and in societies, as you guys would know. Like outwardly, it's okay to talk, but in WhatsApp groups, men are still quite men. Do you know what I mean? It's still quite brutal in there, and it's like if you're with a group of lads, and if you try and open up there, you're onto hiding nothing.
It's not going to happen, is it? That's it. It's the first step, and it's knowing the right time to do it. I guess, like you say, if you do it on a Friday night down the pub with your mates, you're going to get lashed, aren't you? It's not going to happen. But,
you've always got that.
And that's the fear, though. And I think that's what goes through people's heads is like, is this the right time? Am I going to get like the piss ripped out of me here? And it's just those initial that first kind of dude.
Yeah.
I've got an issue here I need to talk to you about.
See, I've got like 3 friends in total, but I've got 3 friends that I know I could turn to with anything.
Yeah, I'm not one of them.
And they've all been on this podcast at some stage, James, Tyler, and Rich. And the thing is, like, it's almost like, particularly with James, we don't need to say anything. We can sort of say, you okay? You good?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Right. Don't worry about it. Listen, if you do need to talk, I'm here. And it's almost giving each other a nod and just saying, look, I'm here. Don't worry about it. If you need to talk, we can joke.
Nice.
And we can be dickheads. We can joke. We can talk about daft stuff, but just checking in. Remember that if there is shit, then we can get on with it.
Where are you two based?
Go serious. So, go on, James. You live.
So I'm in Manchester, but I lived in Chester. So me and Fraser went to school in Chester. That's where we kind of, like, it was in primary school. Year 5 in primary school, we sort of met each other. And
James moved to our school, and I was handed him. Look after this waif.
He's my buddy.
Look after. I was lumbered with him, and he lived round the corner from me, and he clawed his way into my life.
and then I moved up to Manchester to study, and just ended up staying here and having a family here. So
nice.
So that's where I am.
I now live in a place called Ellesmere Port. If you see on, there's often YouTube videos about England's worst town, and Ellesmere Port often features in it.
Nice.
But the outside the town centre, there's loads of big housing estates. There's a place called Cheshire Oaks,
Right.
huge big shopping place, and I live in a modern estate, like attached to the side of that. But if you looked at Chester on a map, it's like 10 minutes drive from Chester.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, so we're in the northwest.
But so you guys can meet up quite easily, or is it a drive to each other?
It's not as far,
I drive past his house frequently.
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes.
Yeah, but that's when he doesn't know that you're there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning and you've got binoculars.
I do, yeah. I sold a video camera on eBay.
Well, hang on, where's this going?
This old, it was like in the middle of winter, and this old guy cycled from Liverpool, which is like, it's like a 40-minute drive. Cycled from Liverpool with Tesco's carryabouts with the video camera, and he's got it going. He was Irish. He's going, sure, is there a good zoom on this camera? And he's like zooming in and out and everything. I thought, this guy's going to look in windows with this, 100%. This creepy old guy
he cycled from Liverpool to where you live to buy this video camera.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
For like 10 quid on eBay, and he's going, has it got a good? He kept asking about the zoom on it, and I'm going, yeah, this guy lives next to like a girls' school or something.
He cycled all that way, and he doesn't even know he's got a good zoom on it. Just imagine he was disappointed with the zoom. Just cycle back empty-handed.
I was like, just take it. I don't want the money. I don't want a fucking sticky £10 note. Yeah, it's weird. But no, I work. I travel a lot I've got my own business. I work in Manchester, Wilmslow, Alderley Edge, and so I frequently drive past James's house, but I've seen him in the flesh once in about 2 years or something.
Yeah. Really?
It's one of them, isn't it? Like we were saying at the start, look, you're busy, I'm busy. Can we do this weekend? No, we can't. I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah.
I say life gets in the way.
Yeah, and then you just think, I can't even be bothered. We'll just do this instead. But yeah, it's not that far, is it?
No. Are you from Milton Keynes?
Yeah, mate, born and bred. Actually, I say born and bred. I was actually born in Northampton because Milton Keynes didn't have a hospital when I was born in 1982.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, so I had to go to Northampton General Hospital. Yeah. So most people around my age that were born in Milton Keynes were actually born in Northampton.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's a fun fact, yeah. So I born here, lived here until I was 23. And then I moved down to North London where Flav lives. And I stayed there for 7 years. And then my partner and I had our first child and moved back to Milton Keynes. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So you didn't fancy London?
I lived there one summer.
Milton Keynes?
My dad had a big office in one of these shiny buildings in Milton Keynes.
Wow.
Selling multi-level marketing fucking vitamins, one of these like the Avon catalogue, but for vitamins. And we'd nearly moved there, and we spent the summer holidays there to see if we liked it. And my mum mustn't have, because
I was going to say, absolutely hated it.
But I do remember it was just all shiny office. It was like a manufactured town, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is it new, Milton Freeman and John Maynard Keynes, the two economists?
Yeah. I know, isn't it?
Hang on.
He does Milton Keynes more than I do.
I've got an economics A-level, and we learned that.
Nice.
They're too famous.
Yeah, Milton Keynes is new, and so people say it's like built in the 80s. Milton Keynes was here before then. And there's a lot of parts that are older than Milton Keynes, that because Milton Keynes has grown, it's kind of been subsumed into Milton Keynes. Now, I live in a place called Wolverton, which is on the outskirts of Milton Keynes, but still classed as Milton Keynes. And Wolverton is the first railway town in the world. So it's equidistant between Birmingham and London. So when the railway was going to Birmingham, if there was a fault with the train or anything like that, it's right in the middle. And that's where I live. And all the houses here, they're all Victorian terrace houses. There's a massive, loads of Victorian train sheds, Victorian schools. It's like really old round here.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. absolutely love it here. But then you go to the next estate, to Milton Keynes, where I live, and they're all brand new houses, like brand new houses. So it's very different wherever you go.
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever been, to be honest.
I just remember the office, there was a Franken machine that you stick letters through and it prints a stamp on. And someone told me what that was. And so we were there for 6 weeks, and when we came home, we couldn't open the front door. There was all these letters, and it was basically like photocopies of my face and my arse that I'd been sticking in envelopes, putting through the Franken machine and posting them home. That is like bankrupt my dad's company.
That is amazing.
£400 bill on the Franken machine for all these stamps. So I just posted letters to myself.
You could have sent that in for something only you know.
Yeah, true.
What valuable content here.
So, like, you used to get, if you moved your face with the thing, it gave you a big wide face.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was fun. Yeah. You do your fingers, so you'd have really long fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I remember about Milton Keynes. I remember it was nice as far as I know.
You're not missing much, mate.
Nice place. I just remember it was like, to me, it was like New York, because I just remember big tower office blocks, shiny buildings.
Yeah, it's designed on the New York grid system.
Yeah.
So
is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so that's why there's a lot. It's famous for its roundabouts. So there's very little traffic lights. So it's the kind of traffic is self-governing because of the roundabouts. Actually, doesn't really work, but never mind.
Right. We don't want to keep you too long, so obviously you've got people to see and things to do, I imagine.
Well, he's desperate to find out whether Jojo or Chris wins Celebrity Big Brother tonight.
Oh, is that tonight?
Are they in the final? Are they?
Yeah, they're weird relationship.
I haven't seen any of it, but the first gig I got my kids was to see Jojo at the O2.
Really?
And
I took my daughter to the Saw Doctors for her first concert.
Really?
Yeah.
Before we go, actually, I wanted to ask you two a few questions.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
actually,
okay.
how did you two get into doing your pod, and why did you pick the topic?
I don't actually know that. I think we kept sending messages to each other going, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I think it was James said, what about just looking at dangerous things?
Yeah, that was the idea, because we didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
It was just like we wanted to do it just purely as something to do, really, as a meet-up, like you said before.
Yeah.
But so we were toying with a few ideas. And the initial concept was, let's find the most dangerous, we'll come up with a subject and we'll find the most dangerous thing of that. So if you listen to the earlier episodes, I think we did one on like the most dangerous job you can get. We did a cheese episode, just random things. But then it just kind of developed, really, because I think we thought that was a bit kind of, you probably noticed this when you started as well. We were finding it was really scripted, and we would come with like 10 pages of a Word document, 10-page Word document, and we were just reading it into the mic, and it was getting tedious and boring. There was no back and forth between us, so we kind of thought, well, let's try and just make it a bit more fun, and maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be this strict, most dangerous idea. Let's just talk about weird and strange things that are going. And
just anything that's got an element of danger
or weirdness about it.
Yeah.
And I think from then, it's only recently, it's been going on for a while now. What we wanted to do is we wanted people to engage and suggest the subjects for us.
Right.
So this is where we came up with the idea of pulling something out of a hat, and we'd each do two episodes each based on that subject.
Yeah.
And we wanted people to engage with us, and they pick the subjects, and they decide, what the episodes would be. It's not really worked as we planned because there's too many weirdos.
We get emails from Bill, don't we?
What did we have? We had one that was like,
perspective stroke belief.
Yeah,
What was the
theological
most dangerous?
theories or something like that. You're
Yeah.
like, you can't. How are we supposed to do four? I'm not smart enough to do four FATs on that.
I know.
So
We want like dogs,
yeah.
stuff like that. And the other reason we started pulling a subject is it was like, oh, it's your turn, and you've got to find something in the whole wide world that touches on danger. Whereas now we pull out a subject, say it was London, the last one, then right, I just need to home in London and find a couple of stories about London.
Yeah.
And it makes it a bit easier.
A bit more fun tonight. And then kind of like, because we're both looking into the subject at the same time, we kind of, it's a bit more back and forth. Have you seen this? Or maybe you could do that. Or, you're not sort of left out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, it's just developed like that, really. And hopefully, as time moves on, we will get more engagement and people will come up with more sensible ideas and not just crazy ones. And that's the hope, I think, as it moves on.
We same, like, so obviously we pick a main topic or ask the audience to pick a main topic and we'll discuss it whatever it might be. So we record tomorrow, and the topic for tomorrow, fucking hell, I've forgotten my own topic. I think it's the most like the worst ways to die, I think it was, or it's things that
Brazen Bull.
It's things that you think that, or just having that imagination as to the most, I don't know, scary way to die. Yeah. Because I'd seen a TikTok and it was someone in Russia during New Year's or something like that. The river freezes over, and as a tradition, they cut a square out of the river. And what you do is you hold onto the sides of the ice, you lower yourself in, you get that, that cold plunge, you come back up and everyone cheers and blah, blah, blah. And a lady went to do it. And, her husband had just done it. He came out and then it was her turn. The kids were there. It's all done at night time because it's a party. And the adrenaline had got the best of her and she didn't listen. And she jumped into the river. And because underneath the current was running really strong, she just got swept under the ice and there was nowhere for her to come out.
I think I've seen that,
Yeah.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God.
So unlike the Russians to do something mental like that, isn't it?
I mean, it's just like those. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But people have, emailed in topics, and it's like nicknames.
Yeah.
We can't do an hour on nicknames. Like,
it's just not enough, innit?
Just list off an hour of different nicknames. Like, I've seen these social clips of radio stations. I think they're in Australia mainly, where they do a phone in where it's like a 5-minute feature. You say you say about your colleague's most funniest nickname. And they do have some crackers on there, but it's like 5 minutes of fun. It's a feature, not a whole podcast. So it is difficult to kind of get those topics. And again, what you were just saying really resonated with me when I first started and doing the hosting. And I say to Flav, this is the running order I've got. And he's like, mate, there's 10 pages there. He's like he's obviously a seasoned professional. And I'm like, well, this is how I need to work. And it did get to the point where I was kind of like, I'm talking to him, but I'm actually looking over there because I'm reading and I still need to do what I'm doing and just, monotoning it.
That's exactly what we were doing, there would be no engagement at all. It was just heads down, reading, and you look up and it's been half an hour and he's not said a word and it just reeled off. It's like, this is rubbish.
We've tried so hard to just make it. But the thing is, then I started to bullet point mine, but then I'd forget what the rest of it was. So it's trying to get the happy medium.
What where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years?
I was going to ask you that question.
Oh,
that was going to be the closing one.
That is written here. Yeah. What's next? What's next for the pod? Where do you see Lads Anonymous? I mean, from our side of things, God, see if we could make a living out of doing this. Yeah. And I don't mean because it's easy. I understand that, the likes of you and Flav, Flav puts a lot of work into it. You can tell he does 4 or 5 podcasts, but it's just enjoyable. It's enjoyable. It's in your hands, and I think if we were at like the stage you're at, getting emails and having people writing in, that must be great. Must be really like thoroughly enjoyable to do something that earns you a wage.
Yeah.
But you like doing it, and the job I've got just now I quite like, but it's hard to make money. I'm dealing with the public and customer and trying to get people to pay me. And
nobody likes doing
Public,
that.
There's like a stress in that, but I still quite enjoy the job. But I mean, it'd be wonderful to make money out of podcasting, but I don't think we've ever structured this to make money.
Yeah,
not initially.
Done
no,
it.
I mean, it was. We started off like I said. You just said
Yeah.
it wasn't just to get together a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see it grow and develop. Now we've put it's 18 months, isn't it? And we've done it pretty much every week for 18 months. We've had a couple of breaks here and there.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to see it sort of grow and develop further. It's kind of become a little bit of our baby now, you know what I mean? It's like,
of course, yeah.
kind of like, because I mean, to be fair, Fraser does the majority of the work. I'll be completely honest there.
Yeah.
But it is nice and it's fun, and when you get those topics, you think, oh, this week I've got like some weeks, to be fair, it's like, oh shit, it's Thursday, I've got nothing.
Yeah,
But
I know that.
then other weeks you're like on it and you think, oh, this is dead good, this is really interesting, and you get really into it and you're watching YouTube videos about it and researching it and stuff, and those are usually the best episodes, to be fair. But yeah, it's become our little baby. And
do you see yourself, this is a difficult question actually, do you see yourself doing almost more on your own, because you do the quickie with Ricky? Do you see yourself not so much moving away from Lads Anonymous, but having another thing that's yours?
If I'm honest, probably, yeah. But that doesn't mean it will be by myself. That could be with another mate. It could be with you guys. It could, nobody has any idea. I mean, I don't have an idea of my journey, where I'm going, what I'm doing, or anything like that. When we started Lads Anonymous, and we are, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 episodes in, off the cuff comment, Flav, if you're listening, why don't you send us in something only you know? Mm-hmm. It's become a mainstay feature that everybody absolutely loves. That was just, it came out his mouth. I probably should be showing you how the sausage is made, but it's, it's one of those things that, mate, it just happens.
Just happens.
It just happens. So for me at the moment, I am in this, foot on the dock, foot on the boat kind of scenario, where I do social media consultancy work, half my income, and then the other half is podcasts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to take my foot off the social media part and put it firmly in the podcast boat, and then just paddle like mad, and just to stay afloat with that. And then I'd probably say my near-term aims with Lads Anonymous is to start a Patreon. I keep saying this, it's going to be launched in a month, and I just want to get it absolutely right. And like you guys were saying, that I didn't start the podcast in order to monetize it or to do anything. I just recorded it for a bit of a laugh with my best mate, and just job done, really.
I'm well out of pocket on this up to now.
And like by maybe episode 40 or 50, we record every single one, like screen record it. But they were just like, in my mind, it's like, yeah, I'll get round to editing it when I do. And then it's like, I've got 40 hours of videos that I need to edit. And you could be talking about 4 or 5 clips from each one. And I'm like, fuck, man, what am I going to do? Like
the time element,
and then you've got to go back through all of that. And then now to do Patreon, I want to brand all those videos up, post them for Patreon so people can watch the podcast, ad-free podcast, extra all the different things with that. So that will be launched within the next month or so. Hopefully. So I'd like to do that. I'd like to get a website as well, just for Lads as a standalone thing, so it can show how people want to work with us and stuff like that. And collabs and stuff, and just to kind of give it a bit more of a home, really, for that type of hate to say the word business for it, But as a kind of standalone brand, that would be the long term for the 5 years of it. And it might not be just Lads Anonymous podcast. It might be a Lads Anonymous craft beer. It might be a lad. Who the fuck knows where it goes?
Yeah,
I've never even thought, and I don't really drink craft beer, but that was the first thing that came to my head because shit like this, you have no idea who you're going to meet, when you're going to meet them, if you're in the right place, right time, and someone says, "Oh, you do a podcast? Oh, I'm well into that stuff." Like, "Oh, you did one about what was the first one I listened to? It's like something about nuking a moon." The race to nuke the moon.
The race to nuke the moon. I love that.
That was the first one I listened to, right? Could be something that someone said, "Oh, that's really interesting to me."
Yeah.
And then they share this experience, and you're like, "We should do something together." And you're like, "Yeah, we should." That's born, and you're going on that journey there. So it's always just kind of keeping your eyes and ears open. It's not to be like, I'm just going to stay and do this with Flav, and it's just going to be a single podcast. You have no idea where it's going to end up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That particular episode, I think, that changed our podcast because that was the first one that I think we really had a lot of engagement back and forward.
Really?
It was a bit daft. And it was because before that, there was a lot of script reading. I found that subject and I thought, this is brilliant. The America and Russia flexing, saying, we're going to get to the moon before you, or fuck you, we're going to blow it up so you can't get to it. And I think it was because it was quite a lot of laugh. There was a lot of to-ing and fro-ing because I didn't have that much content, but I thought the idea was great. Yeah. So obviously James came back with a lot of his opinions. And I don't know if it was for James, but for me, that was the first time I thought, God, that really worked because we really both got involved in it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You probably picked our podcast just at the right episode. If you listen to the one before it. But no, one of the biggest problems in now is every celebrity's got a fucking podcast.
Mate, what is up with that?
And it's like,
why don't you do yourself?
It's just scripted bullshit. It's just
comedians as well. Get on stage and be a comedian. Stop doing it on podcasts. Stop stealing our time.
I do feel like sometimes we're always kind of one step behind. It's podcasts, so we did a podcast. Then everyone started doing videos on YouTube. It's like, right, okay, we'll start doing that. And then it's going to be something else. And it's always like, oh, God, right, okay. And I suppose that's good. It keeps you on your toes. But it does always feel like, right, now there's a new thing that we've got to do just to kind of keep up with whatever everyone's doing. It's gets a bit kind of like, and I'm quite impatient as well as a person, so it's kind of like I want it to happen now, you know what I mean? And like you do it. We did a year and it was kind of like we want more people to come and engage and stuff like that. So I'm
the same, absolutely the same.
It can get a bit frustrating, particularly when celebrities and comedians are sort of like it's taking over the place as well. So, but I think you're absolutely right.
The money behind them.
Yeah.
See, with us, it's like a chicken and an egg. If we started to make money out of this, we would say, do you know what? On Friday we'll jump in the car and we'll go somewhere and we'll do like some recordings out and about. And like James said, a better webcam, better mics, and you can do better content and stuff like that. So there's obviously got to be a point like where you've obviously at some point you've jumped ship from a full-time job to part-time job and part-time podcast. It's difficult because like I said, we're both working full-time jobs. I've got 5 kids, 2 dogs, 2 cats, stuff like that, and like to actually sit down and come up with content is really difficult. But you could justify it more if you were getting something out of it. But we've said if we don't make any money, we'll probably still be sitting doing this in 3 years because it's
why not?
It's good fun.
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah.
Makes no odds. Should we draw a subject?
I think so. Yeah. Unless I mean I don't have any other questions for you, but really do appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge and all the rest of it. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, I could talk all night to you because I think. Like I said, I think I said in one of the messages, we're all about the same age. We've got probably so much in common.
Yeah.
But a lot of differences as well because you're a Southerner and life's a bit.
yeah, totally.
It's mad. Some of the things that like you and Flav talk about, I think, it's different. it's slightly
it's the
different down
same,
south than
yeah.
it is here.
It's-
But it's the same thing.
What
you know,
I
and
will say is, I don't
that's
want
like-
to outstay my welcome, but I would, gladly come on for another episode.
Oh, yeah,
Fantastic.
Yeah,
we'd
yeah.
absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And we can chat more, mate. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
let's get
should we
cracking.
draw a subject before my house gets really loud?
Yeah, it's going to be a big edit, this one for you, Fraser. Unlucky.
I think this is all right. I can hear them pulling up, actually.
All right, go quick.
I can't remember all the subjects. I was going to read them out. So we just draw
Just
one.
Usually
So
we
there's
read them out and
things-
stuff. But never mind.
Yeah, there's like trends and
Some other
all
things.
sorts of subjects in there. It's the Kentucky Fried Chicken top from France,
Yeah.
as usual.
One flew out then.
I know. Doesn't matter. I wasn't going to pick that one. That wasn't the hot one.
It's better be good.
What have we got?
What?
Flights.
Flights.
It's a
Can't see
dangerous
that, can you?
flight. Okay.
Flights.
There's plenty to
You'd
go on
like
there.
that, Ricky.
I was
actually. You
literally
love your
about to say,
flights, don't you?
unfortunately, lads,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
going to be
of course,
down
yeah.
one listener for that one. There is no chance I'm
Oh,
listening
no.
to that.
Flights.
Yeah, of course. Oh, right.
Yeah, I've actually been dreading flights. I think that's quite difficult, really.
I think there's plenty to go on there.
Yeah. So when we talk about taboo subjects, are we avoiding, obviously, 9/11 here?
That's too big, though. You can't do that in
Too
one
sensitive, too
episode.
big?
Yeah.
You'd have to do that over 2 or 3, I think. There's so much in it. Yeah. So, but you can do it if you want, but I would stay
Yeah.
away.
I've been on a plane that filled up with smoke once.
Oh my god!
Don't do it
yeah,
to.
I don't want to hear that story.
And then it took off without anyone telling us it was fine.
Oh dear!
It sat in the runway for a little bit and then it took off.
No.
We were like, yeah,
Even
it's
I don't
fine,
want to
it's
hear
fine.
this.
So flights, yeah, there we
Right,
go.
okay.
So I need some good ideas for that.
Yeah.
So we'll call it a night. I really, really appreciate you coming on. Like you said, we'd be more than delighted to talk again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
For sure.
yeah,
No worries.
we'll keep in touch. I've got your WhatsApp now, so I can.
Can't. There's
start
no
sending you-
escape. You'd be
no.
sending your pitch photos of his poo and stuff.
We'll play that game. Is it a penis or is it a goblin from Labyrinth? So yeah, promise nothing. Anyway, Ricky, thanks very much.
Cheers, lads.
So we'll call it a night.
Yeah. Good to see you,
So
mate.
that's been the Most Dangerous Podcast Draw episode with our special guest, Ricky from Lads Anonymous. Thank you.
Give it a listen. It's great.
Brilliant show. Thanks. You take care.
Bye bye.
Absolutely no problem. When you said that we're live and the screen, like, are we like streaming live now?
Oh, no.
I was like, fucking hell, that was quick. I was like, oh my god.
No, I was just recording. No, we couldn't dare put anything
No,
live.
no way. No.
Not there yet.
Your face just dropped. Like,
I know. I was
hang
like,
on.
whoa.
Yeah,
No, it's all recorded.
3
It's fine.
people watching just now.